25th, 2024, Cara's Masquerade Ball. Cara decides to throw a Masquerade-themed Halloween ball at her mansion. She plans on inviting some friends from the group. Michelle, Susan, Hillary, Tanya, Cris, Craig and Maria, Don, Cesar, Liz and Mike, Carla, Rebecca, and Carol. The theme is Masquerade, however, it is completely optional to dress up. As for decorations, Cara plans on setting the mood by lush decorations with masks and candles, soothing and warm lighting for a romantic atmosphere, elegant black satin fabric draping the hall adding to the glamour of the event. Time passes and the party preparations are nearly complete. The music continued to play and the caterers maneuvered around the room setting out appetizers and drinks. As Cara is finishing up her look in the foyer, she hears the doorbell ring. Cara opens the door to see Michelle standing in the doorway. She's wearing a long black sparkly dress with a black and gold feather mask to match. "Hey honey, you look gorgeous," she smiles, pulling her in for a brief hug and a kiss on the cheek. Michelle grinned. "Thank you." The two of them walked down the hallway and into the kitchen. "Do you want something to drink?" Cara asked. Michelle considered Cara's question for a moment before responding. "I'll have a glass of Pinot Noir," Michelle says, taking a seat at the counter. Cara pours Michelle a tall glass of wine and hands it to her. "Enjoy," she smiled. Michelle settles into her seat just as the doorbell rings again. Cara takes a sip of wine, then rises and heads back to the foyer. She opens the door to find Carla and Carol. The two of them are wearing burgundy dresses with gold masks. "Hey, Cara, you look gorgeous," Carla beams, stepping forward with a warm smile. Cara smiled warmly. "Thank you. Come on in and make yourselves at home." The two of them followed Cara down the hallway and into the living room. The chatter and laughter from the foyer spilled into the rest of the house, filling the air with an atmosphere of anticipation. Cara poured 2 glasses of champagne for Carla and Carol. "Hi, you guys. You look wonderful. Very nice masks," Michelle comments as she greets them. "Thank you, Michelle. You look lovely as well," Carla says, pulling Michelle in for a hug. The three of them fall into easy conversation, their voices folding into the hum of the party as Cara drifts back toward the foyer. "Hey guys, you two look wonderful." Cara looked up and down to notice Liz's shimmering champagne dress and Michael's suit matched in subtle satin, their masks feathered and flirtatious. Liz and Mike both smiled graciously and thanked Cara for the compliment. Cara watched as the two of them headed down the hallway and then looped back to the foyer, her champagne glass still in hand. "Hey everyone," Liz calls out as she steps into the room. "Hi Liz," Michelle says warmly, rising to greet her with a hug and then offering one to Michael. "Great outfits," Carol adds with a nod of approval. "Thanks, darling. It's so good to see you all again." Liz beams, embracing both Carol and Carla while her husband settles into a nearby seat and helps himself to a glass of champagne. Michael slipped out through the back door of the living room to find Gionni outside. Cara's heels clicked softly as she made her way back to the entrance. Rebecca waited outside as Cara pulled the door open. She wore a high-necked lace dress in midnight black with a beaded mask and jet earrings. Cara's face brightened at the sight of Rebecca. "Rebecca, you look absolutely stunning," she exclaimed. Come in, it's so good to see you." Rebecca slipped into the foyer, heels clicking softly against the marble floor. "Thank you, Cara, you look lovely as well," she smiles, giving her a brief hug. Cara returned the hug, her smile never leaving her lips. "Let's get you something to drink." Cara poured Rebecca a glass of Pinot Noir. With her glass in hand, Rebecca headed over to the living room to greet the other girls. Don stood just inside the doorway, framed by the soft glow of the foyer lights and the flicker of candles beyond. As the doorbell chimed, he stood patiently and waited for Cara to answer. He wore a black lace shirt under a velvet blazer, paired with a skeletal half-mask and silver rings. "Hello, Don. I love that you're channeling this inner Gothic king energy with absolutely no warning," Cara says, greeting Don with excitement in her voice. Don chuckled. "Thanks, Cara. I made a stealth approach. Candlelight, shadows, dramatic pause in the doorway. Very Phantom of the Opera." Cara smirked. "You nailed the entrance. All that was missing was a pipe organ and a gust of fog." Don crossed the threshold, his boots clicking softly against the marble floor, the candlelight catching the silver etching on his mask. Cara walked ahead, her black satin gown trailing behind her as she guided him down the hallway. "Hey, Rebecca, it's good to see you again," Don comments, hugging her as she stands up. "Good to see you too. I like how you're pulling off this Gothic performance tonight. Very fitting," Rebecca smirked. Don gave a mock bow. "I aim for mildly cursed but well-dressed. So far, no one's fled the room." He turned to greet the others, offering a mix of handshakes and shoulder squeezes as he made his way around the circle. The doorbell chimed, sharp against the hum of light music and laughter. Cara excused herself from the living room and headed into the foyer, heels brushing against the velvet runner. She opened the door to find Susan and Hillary standing on the porch. Susan wore a deep emerald gown with sheer sleeves that shimmered under the porch light. Hilary's dress was a rich plum velvet off the shoulder with a dramatic slit and a gold chain belt that caught the eye. "Look at you two," Cara said, grinning as she stepped aside. "Come in before you freeze." As they stepped into the warmth of the house, shrugging off their shawls, Cara gestured toward the hallway where Rebecca stood near the mirror, adjusting the lace trim on her mask. "Oh, before you disappear into the champagne fog," Cara said, lowering her voice slightly. "This is Rebecca. She's Marnie's sister." Susan and Hilary exchanged a quick glance, clearly surprised. Cara hadn't mentioned Marnie had a sister, let alone one who'd be at the party. "She lives in town," Cara added, "and she's been getting to know the group while Marnie's in rehab." Rebecca offered a small smile, her mask a delicate black lace that softened her features. "Hi," she said warmly. "It's nice to finally meet some of Cara's friends." Susan stepped forward first, her smile easy. "Hi, it's so nice to meet you." Hilary followed with a cheerful hug. "Welcome, glad you're here." Rebecca smiled, visibly relieved by their warmth. Cara gave her a quick wink before drifting back towards the living room. Dawn was halfway through greeting the circle. Handshakes, shoulder squeezes, a quick toast with Susan, when Cara passed by with a fresh glass of Prosecco. "Gionni's outside," she said, nodding towards the door, "with Michael and his crew, probably plotting something to stir up trouble." Dawn raised an eyebrow. "Of course he is." Before heading outside, he paused at the threshold to the side door, scanning the room again. No sign of Liz. No Michelle either. The door creaked as he stepped out, the cold air brushing against his face. Laughter drifted from the backyard, but before he reached the steps, he caught a glimpse of movement through the patio glass. Liz and Michelle were out there, tucked into the far corner of the patio, half lit by the string lights overhead. Both had their masks pulled up and cigarettes in hand, smoke curling lazily into the night. Liz was in the middle of the story when she paused and glanced over to the doors. As the figure got closer, she realized it was a big, familiar man coming closer to them. Liz flicked ash into a planter, then jolted slightly as Dawn appeared beside them. "Jesus, Dawn," she said, half laughing. "You move like a ghost," Michelle smirked, taking a drag. "He's got that dramatic timing down." Dawn raised his hands in mock surrender. "Didn't mean to spook the patio council. I come in peace, and possibly for gossip." Liz shook her head, still recovering. "You need a bell or something. That mask isn't helping." He pulled them both into a warm hug, Michelle first, then Liz, easy and affectionate, the kind of greeting that said he'd miss them without needing to say it. While the girls continued enjoying their cigarettes, Don made his way down the steps off the deck and headed over to see Gionni and Michael. Cara stood at the front of the living room, glass in hand, framed by flickering candles and a loud thrum of music. Guests were scattered amongst the living room, enjoying late conversations and drinking. Liz and Michelle were still outside, but the room was full enough for Cara to raise her voice. "Just a heads up, everyone," she said, breezy but deliberate. "Cris is coming by." The room was quiet. Hilary sipped her drink. Susan looked unconvinced. Rebecca glanced between them, trying to read the tension. Carla's voice broke first. "You invited that walking overdose?" Cara nodded. "Yeah, I did." Hilary leaned forward. "Are you kidding, Cara? Do you not remember that divorce party she threw last summer? She was completely fucked up, mixing pills, snorting blow, and passing out." Cara shrugged. "She sounded fine on the phone. I just want everyone to have a good time." Rebecca looked up, confused. "Who's Cris?" Carla murmured. "You'll know when she walks in." Just then, the patio door opened. Liz and Michelle stepped back into the house, brushing off the chill. They froze mid-step as Cara's words landed. Liz narrowed her eyes. "You invited Cris?" Michelle stopped cold. "Are you fucking serious?" Cara turned toward them, still holding her glass. "She's not here yet. And yes, I invited her." "You invited the woman who got high at work, pushed Marnie, and then lied about it to the board? Into your house? Tonight?" Liz's voice was low, sharp. "I was outside the office when it happened. I saw Marnie's face after she hit her. I testified at the board meeting. It was a bloodbath." Michelle's tone hardened. "She tested positive. She was using. She couldn't even hold a conversation with a student without zoning out. And you think she's going to sip Prosecco and play nice?" Cara held her ground. "I just want tonight to be fun. No grudges, no drama." Liz crossed her arms. "She's a walking disaster. You don't invite Cris unless you want the night to end in blood or broken glass." Michelle scoffed. "If she starts anything, I'm not cleaning up the mess, and I'm not pretending she didn't nearly get Marnie fired." Cara's expression shifted instantly. "Oh, come on, Michelle. Don't start defending Marnie like she's some fucking saint." Michelle blinked. "I'm not—" Cara cut her off. She called Cris an opioid addict in front of the entire office. She humiliated her, screamed at her, hit her so hard she bled. That's not almost getting fired. That's workplace abuse. The room went quiet. Liz stiffened near the bookshelf, eyes locked on Cara. Cara kept going, voice tight. You want to talk about messes? Marnie was the mess. Cris was high, yeah, but she didn't throw the first punch. And she didn't weaponize someone's addiction to make herself feel superior. Michelle's jaw clenched. You weren't the one she cornered in the copy room every other week. Cara's voice dropped. No, but I was the one who pulled her off Cris and filed the report, so don't act like I don't know what happened. She took a breath, then looked around the room, her tone sharp and closing. I'm not debating this all night. Cris is coming. If anyone has a problem with that, you're free to leave. Silence. Even the music felt quieter. Cara turned back towards the kitchen. I'm done talking about Marnie. The door opened slowly, and Tanya stepped inside like she was entering a stage. Her velvet coat caught the candlelight trailing behind her as she moved. In one hand, she held a bottle of champagne wrapped in a linen napkin. Tanya wore a floor-length black jumpsuit with a plunging neckline and sheer sleeves embroidered with silver thread. Her heels clicked softly against the stone as she approached, confident and unhurried. A long velvet coat hung open behind her, catching the breeze like a cape. Her mask was striking. It gave her an almost mythic look, half phantom, half ice queen. Cara met her at the threshold with a grin. Hey, you're dramatic as hell. Tanya leaned in for a cheek kiss. It's Halloween. I dress for the mood. She handed Cara the bottle, then scanned the room with a practiced eye. Most of the guests were gathered in the living room. Carla and Carol curled up on the couch, Susan and Hillary perched nearby, Rebecca still nursing her drink by the bookshelf. Michelle and Liz were sitting at the counter. Tanya moved with purpose, heels clicking softly against the hardwood. She greeted Michelle first, offering a warm hug and compliment on her earrings. You always know how to sparkle without trying. Carla and Carol gave a nod and a wink. You two look like trouble. I approve. Finally, she turned to Rebecca, who was watching her with quite curiosity. Tanya smiled. We haven't met, have we? Rebecca, right? You've got a calm energy. I like that. It's rare in this crowd. Rebecca nodded slowly, extending out a hand. You look like someone who knows how to survive a party. I'm Tanya. Let's form an alliance. Cara popped the champagne behind her, the cork echoing like a cue line. Tanya didn't flinch. She was already settling into the room like she had been there all night. The door swung open just as laughter spilled from the backyard. Craig and Maria stepped inside, perfectly timed. Craig wore a black suit with a burgundy shirt, no tie. His mask was matte black, sharp and minimal. Maria wore a navy satin dress with sheer sleeves. Her mask was silver and feathered, glittering at the edges. She held a small clutch in one hand and a bottle of blood orange liquor in the other, wrapped in a velvet ribbon. Well, look who decided to grace us with their presence, she said, grinning. Craig in noir mode, and Maria looking like she just stepped out of a cursed opera. Maria handed her the bottle with a wink. Thought I'd add something dangerous to the bar. Cara took it, laughing. Perfect, we're a little overdue for chaos. Craig leaned in, smirking. You say that like it hasn't already started. Cara raised her glass. You're just in time for Act 2. Craig smirked. What did we miss? Cara leaned in slightly. Michelle and Liz nearly tore me apart over Cris, so you know, standard pre-chaos warm-up. Craig gave a loud whistle. Bold move. Craig and Maria exchanged a look, then drifted into the living room, champagne flutes in hand. The music pulsed a little louder. The party had moved outside, and the backyard had transformed into a glowing maze of string lights, fog machines, and flickering jack-o'-lanterns. Guests drifted between the fire pit and the bar, where a chalkboard sign read, Witch's Blood, Corpse Provider, and Spiced Cider. Choose your potion. Carla and Carol were already posted up near the bar, sipping something neon and laughing at Craig's dramatic retelling of a failed staff meeting. Hillary and Susan were dancing in the living room, wine glasses in hand, while Michelle lingered near the snack table, still visibly tense but letting herself be pulled into a conversation with Liz and Rebecca about the eyeball deviled eggs. The tension from earlier hadn't vanished, but it had thinned. A tray of mini grilled cheeses made the rounds. The fog machine hiccuped and belched out a cloud that made everyone cheer. And still, no sign of Cris. Gionni stepped inside, caught sight of Cara near the drink table, and stormed towards her. Cara! What the hell? You invited Cris without telling me? Cara turned, already defensive. She's late. I figured she showed up around 10. Gianni's eyes narrowed. You figured? You didn't think maybe I should know first? After what happened last time? Cara sighed. It's Halloween. I thought it'd be a nice gesture. Gionni barked a bitter laugh. Ugh, a nice jester. The last time she was here, she got so fucked up, she shattered our glass coffee table and puked in the planter. Have you learned nothing? Cara threw her hands up. She's been clean for 3 months. I talked to her. She promised me she wouldn't use tonight. Gionni stepped closer, voice rising. You invited a fucking drug addict to our house party and didn't even run it by me? Jesus, Cara. Keep your voice down, she hissed. She's not using. She swore. Gionni shook his head, disgusted. You better be glued to her side all night. I mean it. If she breaks one more thing, I'm done. And thanks for the heads up, by the way. Real loyal. He turned and walked off, leaving Cara standing there, flushed and fuming. She poured herself another drink and murmured, He's so pissed. Cara took a long sip, then slammed the glass down on the counter with a sharp clink. Michelle wandered over, catching the tail end of Cara's murmuring. He's pissed because you invited Cris? Cara nodded, exasperated. Didn't tell him. Thought it'd be fine. Clearly, I was wrong. Michelle raised an eyebrow. You didn't tell him? Girl. Cara snapped. I know. Spare me the lecture. Liz joined them, already clocking the tension. He's not wrong to be mad. Last time Cris came over, she tried to light a cigarette on the stove and knocked over a bottle of tequila. Cara groaned. She's not that person anymore. Michelle snorted. She's not that person until the third drink hits. Cara rolled her eyes. Look, I just wanted tonight to be fun. No drama, no grudges, just people chilling and vibing. Liz crossed her arms. Then maybe don't invite the one person who turns every room into a crime scene. Cara grabbed the bottle and refilled her glass. She's coming. It's done. If she fucks up, I'll deal with it. Michelle leaned in, voice low. You better, because if she starts swinging or snorting, I'm not playing referee. Cara nodded, eyes fixed on the side door. She'll be fine. She promised. But the way she said it, flat, rehearsed, almost pleading, made it clear that she wasn't sure at all. Cara walked off, drink in hand, muttering under her breath. Liz watched her go, then turned to Michelle with a dry laugh. Oh, I'm definitely getting into it with Cris tonight. I'm not letting this tension between us subside. I'm laying it all out on the table, and it ain't gonna be pretty. Michelle raised an eyebrow. You sure you want that smoke? Liz didn't blink. She deserves it. I was standing there when she lied to the board, high as hell, and still trying to play victim. I'm not pretending tonight. Michelle took a slow sip of her drink. Just don't throw anything. I'm not in the mood to dodge glass. Liz smirked. No promises. The backyard was alive now. Fog curling around ankles, string lights flickering like fireflies, and the bar glowing under a canopy of fake cobwebs and hanging bats. Guests spilled out from the house in waves, drinks in hand, voices rising and overlapping in bursts of laughter and gossip. Craig was holding court near the fire pit, retelling a story of a disastrous team-building retreat with dramatic hand gestures and perfect timing. Maria leaned against the patio railing, deep in conversation with Rebecca, both of them sipping blood orange cocktails and watching the crowd like seasoned critics. Cris swerved onto Cara's street, tires screeching slightly as she parked crooked along the curb. The car idled, bass thumping low from the speakers. Inside the car, the air was thick. Perfume, cigarette smoke, and something sharper. She leaned back in the driver's seat, gold mask tilted up, eyes glassy. She was flanked by Ramona and Leah, both dressed in long black gowns and gold masks, fresh from Chris's divorce party energy. Ramona passed her a flask, and Cris took a long pull, and then another. Her hands were jittery, her mood swinging fast. Cris lit a cigarette with shaky fingers, exhaling hard. All right, bitches. Showtime. Leah leaned forward, eyeing her. You said you weren't using tonight. Cris waved her off. Cara won't notice. She's too busy playing the party queen to clock anything real. Ramona raised an eyebrow. You sure? You're already twitchy. Cris took another drag, eyes sharp behind her crooked mask. I'm not here to play nice. If Liz opens her mouth, I swear to God, I'll shut it for her. She's been running her mouth since the Marnie fallout went down, and I'm not letting it slide. Leah shifted in her seat. You really want to start something tonight? Cara will kick you out. Cris snorted. Let her. She invited me, didn't she? She wants chaos. She just doesn't know it yet. Ramona chuckled. You're wild. Cris smirked, her mood swinging from high to hostile in seconds. I'm the life of the party, and if Liz thinks she's going to corner me or play innocent, she's got another thing coming. I'm not the one. Leah looked out the window toward the glowing backyard. Just be careful. You've already lost enough people. Cris didn't answer. She flicked her cigarette out the window, adjusted her mask, and stepped out of the car like she was walking into a battlefield. She stepped out of the car, staggering slightly, heels clicking against the pavement. Ramona and Leah followed, long black gowns trailing behind them, gold masks gleaming under the streetlight. Cris brushed off her dress, steadied herself, and muttered, "Ring the damn bell." Cara's nerves were already shot. She'd been pacing the living room, sipping her drink too fast, and scanning the backyard like she could will the chaos to stay outside. Then the doorbell rang. She froze, exhaled hard, and marched to the door. When she opened it, Cris was standing there, mask crooked, heels wobbling, cigarette dangling from her lips like she was auditioning for a disaster. "Hi, girls," Cara said flatly. "Thanks for showing up an hour late." Cris let out a loud, forced laugh. "Oh, Cara, you're a riot! Like I'd ever miss one of your parties." She swayed slightly, voice too bright, eyes too glassy. Leah and Ramona exchanged a look. Tight-lipped, nervous. They knew this wasn't going to be smooth. Cara ignored the performance and pulled Ramona in for a hug. "Nice to see you again. Your dress is gorgeous." "Thanks," Ramona said quickly. "Your house looks amazing." Leah hugged her next. "Hey, Cara, thanks for having us." Cara nodded, already reaching for the door. "Cris, put out the cigarette or take it outside. No smoking in here." Cris blinked, then scoffed. "Jesus, all right. Pin me to the fucking cross then." Cara didn't respond. She turned and led them through the living room and out the side door, her voice clipped and controlled. The music outside was louder now, guests laughing, drinks clinking, and fog machines hissing. Cris stumbled once on the threshold, caught herself, and then started into the backyard like she owned it. Her movements were off, too slow, too loose. She hugged Michelle with a little too much force, and then turned toward Rebecca. "Oh, hey," Cris slurred, extending a shaky hand. "Didn't know Marnie had a sister. What a small fucking world." Rebecca gave a polite smile, voice calm. "She does, and trust me, it's a wild ride." Cris laughed, but it came out jagged. "I bet it is." She leaned against the edge of the table, gripping it like a lifeline. Her mask slipped slightly, revealing the haze in her eyes. Cara stepped closer, voice low. "Cris, are you okay?" Cris waved her off. "I'm fine, just vibing. It's a party, right?" Michelle moved beside Cara, whispering fast. "She's off. I swear to God, she took something." Cara's stomach dropped. She nodded, eyes locked on Cris as she swayed again, laughing at nothing. The chatter of the party continued around them, the music and laughter filling the air, but Cara and Michelle's concern for Cris remained at the front fort of their thoughts. They watched as Cris continued to sway and struggled to maintain her balance at the edge of the table. Michelle's eyes stayed locked on Cris, her voice barely above a breath. "We should talk to her. Try to figure out what the hell's going on." Cara didn't answer right away. She was watching Cris, still hunched against the table, swaying slightly, her mask slipping, and her smile too wide and too slow. "I don't know if she's even capable of a real conversation right now," Cara murmured, "but I have to try. I can't just stand here." Michelle nodded, jaw tight. "I'm coming with you. If she spirals, you're not doing this alone." They exchanged a look, equal parts dread and determination, then slipped out the side door, keeping a few paces behind Cris as she drifted deeper into the party. They weren't exactly subtle, but they weren't trying to be. They just needed to stay close enough to catch her if she cracked.